Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome. Have you been seeing repeating numbers everywhere you look? Maybe it's 1111 on the clock or a license plate with 444. Or perhaps you've been feeling a sudden wave of emotion that you just can't explain. One moment you're fine, and the next you've with a profound sense of sadness or a surprising burst of joy that seems to just come out of nowhere. If any of this is stirring something deep within you, I need you to lean in close and hear this. You're not going crazy, and it's absolutely not a coincidence, hon. These are blatant and undeniable messages from your spirit guides, and they're trying to prepare you for a massive shift in your consciousness, and this is huge. So these signs, they're popping up with more and more frequency because you are on the verge of a spiritual awakening, hun. A profound expansion of your awareness that will change how you see yourself and the world. Your guides, they're loving non-physical beings, and they're dedicated to your soul's journey. They're sending you signals, hun. They're nudging you, comforting you, and trying to get your attention, because this process, while beautiful, can also be kind of confusing and isolating. They do want you to know that that you're on the right path, basically. So let's take a deep breath, quiet the noise of the outside world, and start decoding some of these incredible messages sent to you. This is a conversation for your soul, and your soul has been waiting for this. So why now, right? Before we dive into specific science, it's important that we understand the why this is happening now. Why are your spirit guides suddenly getting so loud and clear? Well, it's about you, and it's about the collective, and on a personal level, your soul has reached a predetermined point in its evolution. You've lived through certain experiences, learned specific lessons, and now you're ready to graduate to a new level of consciousness, and that's beautiful. This isn't a test that you failed before. It's a natural flowering that happens at just the right time. Your guides are like spiritual support teams, seeing that you're approaching a huge milestone and turning up the volume of their communication to help you navigate with it as much grace and stuff as possible. This awakening is a process of remembering who you truly are, an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. As you awaken, the old structures of your ego begin to soften and dissolve. The beliefs, identities, and fears once defined you start to feel hollow and just not you anymore. And this can be a little disorienting. It's like you're losing yourself. But you're not losing anything, hun. You're simply shedding the old beliefs and stuff, and new you is about to emerge. They send messages to reassure that this is a magnificent unveiling. They know that the path is lonely, so they feel giving you little hints and stuff to help you know that you're supported every step of the way. On top of that, many believe that we're in a time of great planetary shifts. The collective consciousness of humanity is elevating, and as it does, more and more individuals like you are being activated. Your personal awakening is a vital part of this longer wave of transformation. Your guides aren't just helping you for your own sake, they're helping anchor a new, higher frequency of life on the planet. You're waking up, and when you see these signs, you know that the sacred invitation to step into a new version of yourself is here. It's not just your own evolution, it's the evolution of us all. They get your attention now because you are ready, and readiness is deeply needed. So the constant drumbeat of repeating numbers. This is often the very first sign that people notice. And it's one of the most common ways that spirit guides try to pierce the veil of our busy, logical minds. You glance at the clock and it's 11:11. You buy a coffee and the total is 444, and license plate with 222. At first, it's a fun little coincidence, and then it happens again and again and again, until you can't just ignore it anymore. And you're not imagining it. It's a direct internal nudge from your guides. These repeating numbers sequences, they're often called angel numbers in numerology. Each number has a specific energetic vibration. But while you can find endless charts online, with specific meanings and so forth, the main point of these numbers is to get your attention and for you to pay attention to them. When you see repeating numbers, the first thing you do is take a mental snapshot, take a mental note of exactly what's happening at the moment. What were you just thinking about or feeling? The number is a cosmic highlighter, drawing your attention to whatever was the present in your awareness at that precise instant. For example, seeing the number 11, 11, 11 is widely seen as a manifestation moment. Pay attention to your thoughts right now, and you are in a powerful moment of creation. Keep your focus, stay positive, and it's rapidly shaping your reality. Seeing 222 is often a message of balance and trust and faith. If you've been worrying, seeing 222 is a gentle number from your guides telling that everything's going to be okay. 333 is connected to the energy of ascended masters. Think of Buddha or Kuan Yin. Seeing 333 is a sign of powerful spiritual beings are with you and offering their love and protection and guidance. 444 is a huge sign of protection, your support from the angelic realm. It's like your guides wrapping a warm, protective hug around you, and that's really beautiful. So, there's a powerful affirmation that you are safe and loved. But here's the secret. Don't get too caught up in memorizing all the official meanings and all the numbers and stuff. The real magic happens when you use those numbers to trigger and connect with your own inner wisdom. The fact that you've been noticing them means that your awareness is shifting. Your, subtle frequencies and communications and so forth, they're happening. So take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what message is meant for me at this moment? So sudden and explained emotional waves. This is part of it too. I don't know if you've ever heard of the dark night of the soul, but we'll get into that another time. One of the awakening moments can be kind of overwhelming and make no logical sense. You have been having, a perfectly normal day, and then all of a sudden you just get slammed with some grief, or, you feel a sudden, unexplainable, pure, just unconditional happiness. It's a roller coaster, and it feels a little bit unstable sometimes. But it's really kind of clearing out the baggage in your mind and, helping with your empathetic abilities. Over time, you've stored countless suppressed emotions, past traumas, and so forth in your own life, ancestral lineages, and going way back. And these dense emotional blockages, they can be released. When when they come to the surface, the wave of sadness can be released, release that grief, something you had long forgotten. Your guides want you to know that you don't need to analyze the source of every feeling. Just simply allow it. That's all you really got to do, is just kind of allow it to happen, feel it, and let it go. It can feel messy while it's happening, but the lightness you feel afterwards is immeasurable. Another layer to this awakening is your clairsentience, or clear feeling. This is a psychic ability to feel the emotions and energies of other people, places, or even the collective. Your energetic boundaries become more porous, and your consciousness expands. So, this heightened sensitivity is a powerful gift, but it requires learning new skills in energy management. When you experience one of these emotional waves, your guides encourage you to pause and gently ask your heart, is this mine? Or, is this for someone else? It might get an immediate intuitive sense of whether your feeling is coming from you or an external source. If it's yours, feel it. If it's not, then let it pass through. Emotional waves are blatant signs that you're becoming more energetically aware. Your guides are teaching you through direct experience. And it's, physical and energetic. So, your intuition at this point is a quiet inner voice or a gut feeling. It's the primary way your higher self and your spirit guides communicate with you directly. During a spiritual awakening, this channel becomes dramatically clearer and louder. No longer subtle whispers, something you can just dismiss. It's a knowing, and the guides are showing it to you. You might just find that you're knowing things that you didn't really know before. A strong urge to take a sudden route to work. You might find, that you're meeting new people or have a distrust that you don't understand. Your intuition is a gear, and your guides are working to strengthen the connection. Trust that inner guidance system above all else. This intuitive surge can manifest in different ways, often corresponding to your primary clair or psychic sense. So, clear cognizance, this is where, you don't know how you know something, you just kind of know it. It feels like a sudden aha moment. Clairvoyance is clear seeing. You might start seeing images, from your mind's eye a little bit more, like mini movies playing in your head. Clairaudience is clear hearing. You might hear a voice, so like somebody's whispered something to you or something like, listen, and no, you're not crazy. Clairsentience is clear feeling. As we talked about, this is a feeling of truth, of a sensation in your body. And yes, you might feel light and expansive in your chest. No, you might feel a knot in your stomach. Your guides are encouraging you to act on these intuitive nudges, even the small ones. Heed the inner voice that suggests that you take a day off to rest. The more you listen and act on your intuition, the stronger the channel becomes. Think of it like a muscle. Your guides are sending you intuitive hints constantly, breadcrumbs, step by step along the path. Trusting your intuition is how you move from being led by your ego to being led by your soul. Dreams. So dreams, in your dream state is one of the easiest ways for your spirit guides to communicate with you, because your consciousness analytical mind is out of the way. During an awakening, your dream life often becomes incredibly vivid, intense, and filled with meaning. You might start having dreams where you're aware that you're dreaming, and those are really fun. These can be random brain firings, but they can also be downloads from your spiritual team. One of the most blatant signs of having dreams where you directly interact with beings of light, angels, and deceased loved ones, or figures that you just kind of know are your guides. They might direct advice, show you symbols, or simply embrace you with an overwhelming sense of peace and that lingers long after you wake up. And it's a beautiful feeling, hun. You might be experiencing reoccurring dreams or symbols, dreamings of places in particular, maybe pets. As the dream of a snake shedding its skin might be a message of transformation. Flying, maybe a new sense of freedom. Those aren't just dreams, though. They're experiences. You might wake up with a feeling that what just happened was more real than your waking life. Your guides are also, in the dream state, healing and teaching, kind of a night school for your soul, if you will. To harness this beautiful connection, I gently invite you to start a dream journal. Dream journals are wonderful. Over time, you'll begin to see the patterns and themes, as the messages emerge. You can set your intuition before you go to sleep and say simply, I ask my guides to bring me clarity on a specific issue. Please help me remember. Your guides eagerly await, so pay close attention to your dream world. This is where, you have direct lines of communication with your spirit guides. If these messages are resonating with you at all tonight, if you're nodding along, and feeling a sense of recognition in your heart, let me know in the comments which one you've been experiencing the most. Is it the numbers, dreams, sharing your experience? Not only it validates your own journey, but it helps to create a community for others who might be feeling kind of alone in this process. And if you're finding this guidance helpful and want to continue exploring the path together, please take a moment to gently tap the like button and subscribe to this channel. It tells me that this content is serving you, and it helps the message to get to more people who need to hear it. So, with that, I'm going to go into signs and synchronicities. Synchronicity is a beautiful term for a meaning of coincidence, basically. It's when the universe seems to choreograph events that, seem so perfectly timed. They're blatant winks from your spirit guides confirming that your alignment is going the right way. It goes far beyond just numbers. Synchronicity, thinking of an old friend that you haven't spoken to in years, and then they just suddenly text you. It's overhearing a stranger's conversation that contains a perfect piece of advice for your situation. It might be seeing the same animal over and over again, a hawk, a dragonfly, or a deer, that appears at a most pivotal moment. These events are designed to make you stop and say, whoa. They're meant to be a piece of mundane and remind you that everything is magical, intelligent, and orchestrating reality. They're validating your path, hun. This is your guide's way of saying, yes, you are on the right track. Synchronicity is served to build your trust in the universe. They teach you that you are not pushing against life, but that you're carried by a current of grace. When you acknowledge them, and say a silent thank you to your guides, the more acknowledge, and appreciate these synchronicities, the more they seem to happen. Consider keeping a synchronicity journal. I keep journals. I journal all the time. Write it down, record the event, what was happening in your life at the time. Reading it back through the journal is an incredible testament to how guided you truly are. So, lastly, we have a tarot message from your guides. To bring these messages to an even sharper focus, let's turn to tarot. The cards are a beautiful tool for direct and symbolic wisdom from your guides. I'm going to pull 3 cards for the collective watching right now, and this reading is for you. Let's see what messages your guides have for you. Card 1, your message from the past. And that's the Two of Wands. This first card represents the energy you are moving away from. It speaks to the lessons and challenges and experiences that you have prepared for this very moment of your awakening. So the Two of Wands here, he's looking off into the distance, dreaming, thinking about things. This card shows us what you've already overcome and integrated. Card 2, signs in your present. The Seven of Cups. This card illuminates signs and messages, that your spirit guides are sending you right now. The current state of being, energy that is active, and as you navigate your awakening, the Seven of Cups here is, a very emotional, energetic cup card. This is confirmation of what you're currently experiencing, and it's a direct message to you. And card 3, the Sun. Oh, this is beautiful. Journey to Awakening. This final card offers a glimpse into the journey ahead. It represents the potential, the guidance, and the unfolding path of your spiritual evolution. The message from your soul, the guides are about to embrace you and move forward. So the Sun, again, if you look at, she's looking up, and the whole world is her oyster. She's got all of these things, and she is on top of the world. So a beautiful chapter is coming for you, and you're recognizing, these signs now, and you're seeing the numbers and feeling the emotions and noticing the synchronicities. The big question is, what now? The answer is simple and profound. You engage with them. Just engage with them, Here's a few gentle and loving invitations to deepen your connection. First, simply just notice and acknowledge. It's an important step. When a sign appears, don't brush it off. Pause for a moment and just acknowledge it in your mind. The simple act of paying attention is like telling your guides, message received, I'm listening. And this strengthens your connection and encourages more communication. Second, express gentle gratitude and acknowledgement. So acknowledgement is power. Gratitude is a great amplifier. Say it out loud. Say it in your heart. Say, thank you, guides. Thank you for this sign. It has been acknowledged. I see you. It'll raise your vibration and help you more align closely with your spiritual path. Third, the journey. This helps you to spot patterns otherwise you miss, and proves that your logical mind is real. The journey in your map of awakening. That didn't make any sense. I'm really sorry. That did not come out very smoothly. And so, just dedicate small pockets of time to silence, be it a couple minutes in nature, create a space and, let the messages land. Trust your feelings, your intuition, and how you really feel, how you're really feeling right now. While there are general interpretations for the signs, most important meaning is the one that resonates with you personally. When you receive these messages, how does it make you feel? What does your gut tell you? Your guides are tailoring these messages specifically for you. Trusting your own intuition and self-empowerment is key to your spiritual awakening. Navigating a spiritual awakening can feel like you're leaning, basically on, in the dark. But these signs and numbers and emotions and synchronicities, the dreams, the lighthouses, and the fog, they're deliberate. Your spirit guides are sending you these deliberate, blatant messages, and you are being guided. You are being reminded that there is so much more to reality than what we can see in our physical eyes. You are part of a grand, intelligent, loving cosmic dance. And this is for you. So, you're ready to evolve, you're ready to heal, and you're ready to step into the truth of who you are. Embrace this process with curiosity, deep self-compassion. You are exactly where you are supposed to be at the exact right time. And the emotional intensity, it does pass. You are not alone in this. You are becoming, and growing, and your spiritual team is cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you for sharing this space with me today. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video, subscribe for more guidance on your spiritual journey, and sharing this with anyone you feel might need to hear it. Walk in the light, take care, have a good day, and buy the Cat Counselor treat if you feel like giving back. Bye.